So hello all, welcome to Pure Yoga with the Vinyasa Mandala flow through March, and it's going to be about creating a bit of space this week. So if you want to have a block by the side of you, feel free to have one. You don't necessarily need one, but it's just to bring the floor towards the hand a little more if you need it. And get hold of some water and then meet me in child's pose. So just bringing your big toes to the back of the mat, widen the knees as much as you can, slowly bringing the seat back towards the feet, maybe just having a little rock of that body from side to side, first of all, before you start to bring the hands forward, creating some space around those hips, those inner groins, those lower backs. And then starting to slowly move the hands forward towards the front of the mat, the forehead towards the floor if it reaches, or place it on a block if not. Feeling that space along the rib cage, into the armpits, up into the fingertips. Having those toes untucked so you can feel that space through the top of the foot. Relax the shoulders, try and create some space around the ears. And then start to think about that scan of the body from the top of the head down to the fingertips, down to the toe tips. Just having a little check-in with how your body feels. When you've had a check-in of the body, start to bring the attention to the breath, and I want you to think about that breath being sent into any spaces that are holding tension, trying to create a little more space in those areas, maybe a minimal range of movement, slightly deeper into poses. Just breathing nice and deeply in and out through the nose if you can, unless you're holding any colds or allergies, then obviously feel free to use the mouth. Trying to expand around the rib cages, front, sides and back of the body as you breathe in. As you breathe out, feel everything compress to squeeze those air back out of those lungs. And create some space in the belly as you breathe in the lower back, in the oblique muscles at the side of the waist. And as you breathe out, start to contract everything back to squeeze that air back out. The more you breathe deeply into the belly, the more you use that diaphragmatic breath. That muscle that quite often gets a little lazy if you breathe quite high up into the chest. So threading the left hand underneath the right armpit, turning the left palm up, sinking the chest back towards that top arm, that left arm, into that bicep. Stretching through the tricep, the deltoid muscles around that shoulder, creating space just around that shoulder socket. And then keeping that left arm there, bring the right hand behind the back. Maybe try and take a hold of that left thigh, hook onto that left thigh, and then maybe turn the gaze to your right side of the mat, maybe lifting your right shoulder away from that left arm. And just feeling the stretch come through that right shoulder as you lift it up and back. And then release that right hand back out to the front of the mat. Bring your left hand to meet the right and allow the chest to sink towards the floor. And then taking it the opposite direction, right hand threads under the left armpit. Chest comes back to sit on top of that bicep, stretching around the tricep, deltoid muscles on that right shoulder. Breathing into those spaces that feel tight. And then taking that left arm around the back, bringing that left hand maybe to grab hold of that right thigh, and then turn the body towards the left, lifting the left shoulder away from that right arm, pushing that right arm into the mat to create that space for that chest to open a little to the left side. And then reaching back out with that left hand, and bring that right hand back to meet the left, and just take a moment here in child's pose in neutral. Then walk the hands over to your right side, bringing your left hand on top of your right, sinking the chest to the inside of that right thigh. Just breathe in deeply, one breath here, and long breath out. Walk the hands over to your left side mat, right hand on top of the left, right sit bone back towards the right heel. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Walk the hands back to centre, taking a breath out here in a neutral place, neutral spine. Let the head come back to the floor. Then making your way onto your hands and knees. Bring the knees underneath the hips, tuck the toes under, lift the hips back to our first down dog, gazing back to the toes, maybe paddling those feet, let those hamstrings coming out of flexion and contraction, just to allow them to soften as we work through this flow. Have a nod and shake of the head, create some space along the collarbones, space between each fingers, pushing the whole of the palm into the mat. Then if you're ready to bring those heels to a still position, encouraging them towards the floor, we're going to take 5 vinyasas. We're going to do the 3 ones that we do first. If you wish to just stick with the first, second or third, stay with that. The 4th and 5th will be holding the right leg on the 4th and the left leg on the 5th away from the floor. On your in-breath, come forward to plank. We're taking option 1, dropping the knees and tucking the toes, turning the creases of the elbows to release the chest to the floor. Next breath in, come into a little baby cobra, little back bend. Breath out, bring the chest down, tuck the toes, chest back to the thighs, push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. Stay with option 1 if you wish. Option 2, come forward to a plank position. On your out breath, turn the creases of the elbows, elbows graze the ribs as you come down with a straight body. Untuck the toes, push into the hands and lift up the chest. Release that chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Option 3, if you wish, you'll stick with option 1 or 2. Forward to plank on the inhale, turn the creases of the elbows, bring the body to a hover, elbow high, elbows graze the ribs. Roll over the toes, thighs stay away, lift up the chest, take it into full up dog. And on your out breath, roll back over those toes, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back or chest back to thighs, or meeting in down dog after that 3rd vinyasa option. So if you want to stick with 1, 2 or 3, feel free to do so. If you come in with me, option 4, the right leg lifts up to the ceiling. On your inhale, come forward to a plank. Release to that hover, elbows grazing the ribs. Hop up the back toes, right toes drop, lift up into a up dog. Make your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels down, back. So this isn't an option. If you've done option 4, you have to do option 5 on the opposite legs the next time we do the vinyasa. So breath in, left leg lifts, come forward to plank. On your out breath, release to a hover, hop off the back toes, drop the left toes, lift the chest, inhale. Make your way back to down dog. Exhale, squeezing the heels back, having a nod and a shake of the head. Getting ourselves ready and prepared to take on that mandala, creating space. If you want to have blocks, feel free to use them, or just work without the blocks, just taking it to the depth you can find. On your breath in, your right leg lifts. On your breath out, bring that right foot to the outside of the right hand. Holding it in lizard pose for a couple of breaths. Rock the hips a little from side to side, soften the elbows, keep those hands grounded. Feeling that stretch on that left front hip flexor and feeling maybe a little stretch through the inside of that right groin. Keep that head in line with the spine, gaze maybe down or slightly forward. Finding that lizard pose for a few breaths, space in that front left hip. Contraction through that left glute. Space on the inside of that right thigh, And feeling that contraction of the right hip as you open that knee out slightly. Then bring your weight onto your left hand, bring your right hand onto your right knee, turn the right toes slightly away from the mat, and then drop the inside edge of your left foot down towards the floor, so we open up the chest to the right side, reach the right hand to the ceiling, and then maybe open the chest a little more up to the ceiling as you hold that stretch, getting into the outside of the right thigh, opening the chest to create some space across those pectoral muscles, holding it here just for another breath. And then bring that right hand back up and over. Come on to the toes of the left foot. Work your way around to the left side of the mat and bend into your right knee. Left toes face up to the ceiling. So coming up onto fingertips to straighten up through the back slightly. And then if you want to bring it into a little balance, remove the hands and bring the hands to the chest. Feeling that space being created along the left inner thigh. Holding that balance just for another couple of breaths. And then we'll walk our hands over to the left foot and do it on the other side. So bringing the hands back down to the floor. Start to walk the hands over to the left foot. Turn the left toes to the long edge, right toes face up, and find that crouch again to that left side mat. Right heel pushes into the floor. Come on onto fingertips. Then maybe find that balance here, that stretch on that inner right thigh, maybe a little into the hamstrings of that right leg. Stretching the calves and the Achilles as you draw those right toes back towards the shins. Breathing deeply here as you hold yourself in this balance, or fingertips down if you wish. Then bring the hands down to the floor, turn to face the back of the mat. Come onto the toes of the right foot. Walk the left foot out to the left side of the mat and find lizard pose here. Sink into that right hip flexor this time. Push into the whole of the left foot. Soften the elbows. Push into the hands. Chest cavity pushing away from the floor as you push your hands into the mat. Head in a nice long line with the spine. Try not to let the shoulders creep up and create some space across that collarbone. Sink the hips as low as you can take them. Straighten the back leg as much as you can by pushing that right heel back. Then bringing your weight onto your right hand, your left hand onto your left knee. Then let the right foot drop internally and sink the hips down a little. And then when you found that place of that right hip pointing towards the mat, reach the left hand up to the ceiling and then open the chest towards that ceiling as much as you can to create the space across that front chest. Space down that left side thigh, stretching into that IT band, into that piriformis muscle. The weight is on that right hand, soften the elbow, don't hyperextend that joint. And try and lift and open as much as you can. And then bring that left hand back down to the floor. Come back up onto the toes of the back foot. Step your left foot back and lift the hips back to down dog. So choice vinyasa of yours. We're taking 2 vinyasas here. If you're doing the lift of one leg and then the other, opposite legs each time. I'm taking the lift of the leg. Breath in, raise the right leg, come forward to plank. On your out breath, release to a hover, hop off the back foot, lift up with the chest, right foot grounds. And then roll straight over the toes, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Have a nod, have a shake of the head. Take your second option, vinyasa. Remember, if the leg's lifted, we keep it equal both sides. On your inhale, lift the left leg, come forward to plank. On your exhale, release to that hover, hop off the back foot, drop the left foot, lift up the chest. Then making your way back to down dog, lifting the hips and squeezing those heels back. So we're taking 2 different poses, going around to the left side. So weight comes into your left foot as you raise your right leg up to the ceiling. On your out breath, bring that right foot in between the hands. Bring your right hand to the inside of the right foot and drop your left heel down. Lift up with the left hand up to the ceiling. Then bring that left hand around the back to take a hold of that right thigh. Keep that right hand grounded. Keep that chest open to the left side. Push strong into both feet, the outside edge of the back foot, the sole of the right foot. Use that right arm to anchor onto that right knee to open that chest out a little more. Maybe the gaze can be up to the ceiling or down to the floor, wherever it wishes to be. One more breath in this side angle stretch, but with a bind. That left hand bind into that right thigh. And then keeping that left hand where it is, we're going to bring it up into triangle legs. So push strong into that right foot as you straighten the right leg, but keep the torso over that right thigh. Chest turning to the left side mat. Pushing into the outside edge of the left foot, the whole sole of the right foot. Tucking your right bum cheek under, turning your left hip out. Easy breaths in. Long breaths out. Your next breath in, lift the shoulders. Bring yourself into a wide leg stance, so both toes facing the long edge of the mat. Bring the arms out to a T shape. Turn the palms to face forward. Then on your out breath, start to fold from the hips. Keep wide through the chest. Taking it into a half fold. Finding that hover. Squeezing the back deltoid muscles, that posterior deltoid, to keep those arms lifted in line with the shoulders. Using a little bit of strength in that shoulder work. Your next breath in, start to lift up through that chest. Turn the palms back down. Turn your left toes back to the front edge of the mat. Bring your right hand behind you. Take a hold of the left thigh. Then bring that left hand forward and down to the inside of that left shin. Keeping those chests open towards the right side of the mat. Triangle pose with the bind of that right arm. Rather than it being up to the ceiling, we're trying to create a little more space through that chest. Length through the left side of the waist, length through the right side of the waist. Left bum cheek tucked under, right hip turned out. And then we're going to find a way into that side angle stretch. We take a bend into that left knee, bring your left hand to the floor. Hold that right hand grabbing that left thigh to keep that chest open. Keep squeezing the hips towards the right side of the mat and the shoulders to the left side. Feeling that nice long line from that right foot all the way up to the crown of the head. Bent left knee, left elbow pushing into that left leg to create some space on the inner left thigh. Then release both hands down, either side of the left foot facing back to the front of the mat. Step your left foot back, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. So we're going to take those 4 poses again after this vinyasa, going back around to the right side this time. So if you're coming with me, vinyasas, 2 vinyasas of your choice. If you're with me, lift the right leg on the inhale, come forward to a plank. On your exhale, release to a hover, elbows graze the ribs, hop off the back toes, drop the right toes and lift up the chest. Make your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Your next breath in, left leg lifts, comes forward to a plank. Release down to a hover, hop off the back toes, drop the left, lift the chest. Make your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Create space across those collarbones. Nod and shake of the head. This time your left leg lifts. And then bring that left foot to the outside of that left hand. Find that lizard pose. Maybe you want to come down onto the forearms or bring that block underneath you and come to the elbows. Maybe create a little more space across those hips, but stay up on the hands if this feels a little too deep. The block can bring that floor a little closer if you need it. If you're down on forearms, come back up onto the hands. Turn your left toes out, weight comes into your right hand, left hand onto the left knee. Drop your outside right foot down and your right hip down, and then lift that left hand up to the ceiling, and then open the chest a little more, sending that left hand back a little further, stretching down the left IT band, piriformis muscle, into that left chest pectoral muscle, and then bring that left hand back down. Heel toe the foot of the left back into the centre. Turn around to your long edge of the mat. Bend into your left knee as your toes of your right foot lift to the ceiling. Heel stays down. Come onto a balance onto fingertips, or release the hands away and bring the palms together at the chest. So we'll just hold it here for another breath. If you want to take the next challenge, don't bring the hands to the floor. Just push into that left foot as you bring yourself over to the right without help of the hands. Bend into your right knee and turn the left toes up to the ceiling, still finding that balance. One more breath here. Then release the hands down, walk them around to the right and back to the back edge of the mat. Heel toe the right foot out to the right side mat. Sink the hips. Maybe find that lower bit of stretch in the right hip to bring the forearms into the floor or onto a block. Keep long through the crown of the head and through the spine. Push into the forearms, create some space across the back shoulder blades, those rhomboid muscles. If you're down on forearms, come back up onto the hands. Come onto the outside edge of the left foot, turn around to the right, and then reach the right hand up, weight in the left hand, open the chest towards the ceiling, breathing nice and deeply into that place. Then bring your right hand back up and over. Come back onto the toes of the back foot, step your right foot back, lift the hips, squeeze the heels back, and have a nod and shake of the head. So going with your vinyasas, 2 vinyasas here. If you come in with me, lift the right leg and come forward to a plank. Release down to a hover, hop off the back toes, drop the right, lift up the chest. Bring yourself back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Same on the left leg lifts, come forward to a hover. Release the chest to a hover, untuck the back toes, lift up the chest, drop the left toes. Make your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back, nodding and shaking of those heads. So we have side angle stretch and triangle with a bound. On your breath in, your left leg lifts. On your breath out, bring that left foot in between the hands. Drop your right heel down. Bring your left hand to the inside of the left foot. Reach your right hand up to the ceiling. And then find a bind with the right hand onto that left thigh. So choice to keep that left hand down if you wish, or send that left hand underneath that left thigh and maybe take a hold of fingertips. Create that space along the left side waist, lift that right shoulder, lift the head to be in line with the spine. Push energetically into both feet. So your choice from here is to release that left hand down, but keep the right hand binded, or keep both hands binded and straighten through that left leg without dropping that right shoulder down. So we have a bound triangle on this left side. Keep those hips Pushing to the right side, shoulders pushing to the left. Bound underneath that left thigh, or if you're not with the bind, that left hand can be down towards the floor. It's just the difference here is we've got a straight left leg. Wherever you are, if you're in full bind, release that left hand down to the floor, reach your right hand up to the ceiling and bring that torso back up. Turn both sets of toes to the long edge, palms facing forward, and as you breathe out, bring yourself to a half fold. Hold it in half fold, create space across the neck, space across the chest, space through those inner thighs, space from the lower spine all the way up to the crown of the head. Feel that elongation. Your next breath in, lift up through the chest. Turn your right toes back to the front of the mat. Bring your left hand behind to find a bind onto that right thigh. Bring your right hand down towards the floor, to the inside of that right leg. If you wish to find a bind, maybe take that right arm underneath that right leg, but still keeping that right leg straight. Open the chest, lift that left shoulder, tuck the right shoulder under to stack underneath that left shoulder. Push energetically into both feet. Remember that right hand doesn't have to bind, it can be down to the floor. Keep the head in line with the spine and a nice long right side body. And then take it into that side angle bind or unbound. Right hand either can be down on the floor or staying interlacing fingers behind that right hip. Side angle stretch. Either with one half bind or full bind. Push strong into both feet. One more breath here. Release the right hand, release the left hand down to the floor. Right hand and left hand either side of the right foot. Step back to plank, lift the hips, nod, shake of the head. And take a vinyasa of your choice, 2 of them in a row. In breath for me, lift the right leg, come forward to a plank, release. Up, lift up the chest. Take yourself back to down dog. Lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back. Next breath in, left leg lifts, coming forward to a plank. Release to a hover, hop off the back toes, drop the left, lift the chest. Take it back to down dog. Lifting the hips, hands squeezing those heels back. Come down onto the knees. Maybe take a moment with some water before we take one more mandala around. So when you're ready, meeting me back in down dog. We're going to be just taking normal vinyasas through this flow around rather than 2. Starting in down dog, breath in, we lift up with that right leg. Breath out, bring the knee to the chest. Thread your right foot underneath your left hand, left leg and drop the left heel down. Reach up with the left hand, gaze up to that left hand. Open the chest a little more to find some space across the front. Fallen triangle with a little more openness through the front side body. And then bring that right hip down. Reach up with both hands. On your out breath, fold to that right leg. Let the head hang. Create some space around that back chain right side leg. Breath in, raise the hands. Breath out, fold to the centre and let the chest sink towards the floor or somewhere close. Doesn't need to reach. Breath in, lift, create space through those vertebrae. Turn the shoulders to the left leg. On your out breath, release towards that left leg, bringing that chin towards that shin or somewhere close. Breath in, reach the hands back up. Turn the chest towards the middle. Left hand comes down to the floor. Push into the heels. Lift up the hips and find
that space along that right hip flexor, right hand reaching back. Then release those hips back to the floor. Bring the hands back around to the front of the mat. Right foot back to meet the left, lift the hips. Step your right foot through. Drop your left heel. Walk the hands all the way around to the back of the mat. Come into a lunge. Place the hands down. Left leg lifts. Then bring that left knee to the chest. Thread it through. Bring your left foot to the floor. Reach up with your right hand. Drop your right heel. Open the chest up to the ceiling. Create that space along the front side body. And then bring that left hip down. Wide legs, reach up with the arms, face the shoulders to the left foot. On your out breath, fold over that left leg. And then have a breath in this space. Then your next breath in, lift up with the hands, turn to the middle of the feet. Out breath, fold to the inside of both thighs. Just making your way to as deep as you can, forward fold. Toes facing up, knees facing up. Breath in, lift the hands. Breath out, turn to your right leg and fold to that right leg. One more breath here. Breath in, reach up the hands. Bring your right hand down, push into the heels and lift up through that left hip flexor, reaching as high as you can to the ceiling. One more breath. Release the hips back down. Bring your hands to the back of the mat. Come onto the toes of the back foot. Left leg lifts. And bring that left foot in between the hands. Walk yourself all the way back around to the front of the mat. Bend into your right knee, low lunge. Step yourself back to plank. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Have a nod, shake of the head. Take a vinyasa here of your choice, 1, 2 or 3 options, forward to plank. Release to a hover. Or to the floor, dropping the knees if you wish. Lift up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades back. Take yourself back to down dog, lifting the hips, nodding, shaking of the head. We're going to do that exact same flow, turning to your left side. So starting on your in-breath, lifting the left leg. Out-breath, knee to chest. Step your left foot through. Drop the left outside edge of the foot down. Drop the right heel down. Reach the hands. Open the chest. Right hand towards the back of the body. And then bring that left hip down. Reach up with both hands facing towards that left leg. Out breath, fold over that left thigh. Create the space through the lower back. Breath in, lift up. Turn the shoulders to the centre. Breath out, fold to the centre of the mat. Breath in, lift up. Reach up tall through the arms. Out breath, turn to the right foot and fold over that right leg. Feel that space down the left side back waist. Breath in, reach up. Right hand comes down, push into the heels, lift up that left hip flexor to the ceiling, stretching back with the left hand, pushing the weight into the right hand. Bring those bum cheeks back down. Turn back towards the front of the mat. Come onto the toes of the back foot. Raise the left leg. Bring the knee to the chest. Step your left foot through. Walk the hands around to the right, all the way to the back of the mat to find a low lunge. Place the hands down. Right leg lifts. Right knee comes into the chest. Thread that foot through. Right outside edge of the foot, drop the left heel. Left hand lifts, weight into the right hand. Open that chest up to the ceiling as much as you can, keeping the hips high. Then release that right hip down. Reach up with both hands facing the right leg. Fold over that right thigh, stretch that left side body. Breath in, lift the hands, turn to the centre. Breath out, keep that torso long as you fold from the hips, bringing that chest towards the floor or somewhere close. Breath in, lift. Breath out, turn towards that left leg, fold over that left thigh, forehead to the mat. Breath in, lift. Breath out, left hand comes to the floor, right hand stays lifted. Push into the heels, lift that right hip flexor up. Feel the stretch down that right side waist, into the armpit, to the fingertips. Bring that left bum cheek down. Bring the hands back around to the back of the mat. Come onto the toes of the left foot. Reach up with that right leg. Bring that right foot in between the hands. Walk the hands all the way back to the front of the mat. Bend into that left knee to find low lunge. Step your left foot back. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels. Take your last vinyasa of your choice, forward to plank inhale. Release to a hover, drop the knees or straight bodies to the floor. In breath, lift the chest. Out breath, roll over the toes. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Take a gaze in between the hands, take a bend in the knees, step or jump to a seat or swing the legs around. Heels forward to the front, bums into the centre. Bring the toes back. Reach up with the arms, remove flesh from under the sit bones first. Reach up with the arms, relax through the shoulders. Taking a forward fold, pivoting from the hips, keeping the torso tall. Reaching forward as much as you can with the hands. To take that interlace of the fingers, maybe around the feet if the hands don't reach. Interlace in front, but get that stretch through the arms, stretch through the lower back, hamstrings, calves, Achilles. That posterior chain, if you want to hang the head, hang the head. And then lift back up, reach up with the hands, bring the arms back to shoulder height, and slowly let those shoulders come all the way to the floor, feeling one vertebra at a time, coming to the mat with control. Bring the hands down by the sides of the body, create space across the front side chest, bend into both knees. Push that lower back into the mat. Bring your outside right ankle onto the top of the left thigh. Open the knee out to the right. External rotation. We're going to go up into a one-legged bridge. So make sure you've got good support through that left foot. If you want to bring the hands onto the hips to make it a little more challenging, push into that left foot as you reach those hips up as high as you can, holding it in that full expression. For the count of 10, 9, keep length in the back of the neck, 8, 7, keep squeezing that left bum cheek, 6, keep right knee open, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly let those bums come back to the mat. Keep the right foot where it is. Bring the arms to a T shape. Hook the hips slightly over to the right and bring your right foot to the left side of the mat. Take that left hand onto the right knee and squeeze that right knee down as much as you can. Feel the stretch through the lower back into those glutes, into those IT bands, into that piriformis muscle. Shoulders are grounded, chest facing up. Hips are slightly turned to that left side mat. Let go of that left knee, bring that left hand back to T-shape. Use the strength of the obliques to lift those legs back up to the centre. Re-neutralise the spine into the middle. Right foot comes down. Left outside ankle onto the top of the right thigh. Turn that left knee out. Choice to bring the hands to the hips or stabilisers if you feel you need them. Use the strength of the right glute to lift those hips all the way up. Try and keep both hips level. Holding it here for 10, 9, 8. Left knee keeps out. 7. Lengthen the back of the neck. 6. 5. Keep breathing easy breaths. 4. Keep squeezing that right bum cheek. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly let that bum come back down to the mat. Arms to a T shape. Let the hips come over to the left. Left foot to the right side of the mat. Then right hand onto the top of the left knee to squeeze that left knee in and down closer towards the floor. Feeling the stretch down that QL muscle that attaches the ribs to the pelvis in the lower left side back. Chest faces up. Plug that left shoulder into the floor. Easy breaths in, long breaths out. Then letting go of that left knee, bringing your right hand back to T-shape. Use the abdominals and those oblique muscles to lift those knees back to the centre position. Realign and neutralise the pelvis. Bring that left foot back to meet the right. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Take a hold and squeeze of the legs in towards the body. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Then bring the feet to the floor. Arms out, cactus arms. Let the knees drop out to the side. We're going to go in and out of movement here. In breath, bring elbows and knees together. Out breath, let them drop back out to the sides. We're going to do 3 more of these. In breath, bring them back together. Out breath, let them drop out to the sides. 2 more. Take it controlled. In breath, knees back together. Keep those abdominals contracted. Out breath, arms and knees drop out to the side. 1 more time. In breath, bring the knees together. Out breath, let the arms drop out, knees drop out. And just hold it in this space, just for a couple of breaths. So your choice can either be stay here in relaxation with a little openness through the body, or if you want to come into the normal Shavasana position, bring the legs long, let them be hip width or mat width apart, and bring the hands down by the body with the palms facing up. Wherever you are, just let the fingers curl. Let go of any tension you're holding, whether that's in the jaw, whether it's through the forehead, whether it's through the chest, maybe the abdominals, maybe the lower back. Wherever you feel that tension, breathe into that space and just see whether you can find those minimal more bits of movement into a slightly deeper, relaxed position. Close the eyes. Let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth. Let the lips gently part. And just find a few moments just to consolidate everything that you've just done through the last 40 minutes of practice. Let go of any kind of unnatural breathing pattern you've been doing. Bring it to your natural breathing pattern. you're choosing to stay in relaxation for a little longer, feel free to pause the video now. If you're coming out with me, bring the hands down by the sides of the body if they're not already there. If the knees are in butterfly legs, help the knees together with the hands. If they're long legs, bring the knees into the chest. Everybody finding the place with the knees in. Take a hold of the knees. Make circles with the knees in one direction. Just getting into that space of the lower back. And then take those circles the other way. Bring the knees into the chest. Choice to roll over onto your side or rock up and down the spine a couple of times, up to seated once, back down, up to seated twice, back down. And on the third time, make your way into a seat. If you're on your side, find your way into that comfortable seated position, cross-legged, on the knees or the legs out in front. Bring the hands on top of the thighs when you've arrived here. On your next breath in, reach up with the arms, palms together at the top. Try not to crunch the shoulders towards the ears. On your out breath, bring the hands to the chest, soft gaze to the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, words, hearts, from my heart to yours. Namaste.